Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, please email me. I am still Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com. It is still in the description below. It is your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any of our platforms. Please reach out to me directly. I am Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for pricing. Today we're discussing a titanium and carbon fiber special edition launched by Panerai in honor of the U.S. Navy SEALs for the 2023 model year. You're looking at the Panerai Luminor Chrono Carbotech Navy Seals PAM01419. Now the watch you see here is 44 millimeters in diameter, but very light, in that it is all titanium, carbon fiber, and sapphire. 44 in diameter, 16.5 millimeters thick, from lug tip to lug tip, 55.1 millimeters, with a spacing of 24 millimeters between the lugs. Once upon a time, this would have been called the 1950 case shape. Just be aware that is the case form factor that you're getting. The watch is large but very light. On my 16 centimeter circumference wrist, the look is huge, but the fit is fine. I would say if your wrist is 15, 16 centimeters circumference like mine, you're going to wear this just fine. Now, if your wrist is a lot smaller, it might start to look ungainly, but it's so light that it really feels like it's a big watch made for a small wrist. You can see down the barrel on each side, over the top. And then this is a thick watch, so it's not fitting underneath any kind of a cuff. The strap is a Panerai piece that has some striations, branding molded in. On the underside, a little bit of evacuation to thin it out, make it more flexible. It is a very supple rubber strap. You can see a brand new Panerai strap, no crimping, no gouging. We have here a blackened Panerai pin buckle to match. This is made of metal. And then we have strap minders. We have a set of strap tool holes so you can dismount the spring bar and pop the strap off the case if you wish to do so. The watch features the Carbotech case, which means it is a carbon fiber matrix that is machined to create the form of the case. And so because the layup of the fibers will never be exactly alike on any two, each one has an individual fiber layup profile that gives it a texture and a patterning unique to it. The bezel, as you can see, is stepped slightly. It's actually got a sort of inverse conical profile, a very narrow vertical lip, and then a conical profile up top with a flat lip adjacent to the domed sapphire. We have here a polymer shoulder, basically green rubber as a surround on the crown, and the device protecting the crown, the locking lever, a signature of Panerai watches since the 1950s. The idea here is that you compress and decompress the crown seal, but you don't actually have to thread it through its seals. So by not threading it through its seals repeatedly, you preserve the crown seal. This was originally invented back when Panerai watches were all pocket watch based and manual wind. The constant need to thread in and out when they were Rolex made oyster crowns and cases, it would wear down the seals. So this compression and decompression system was devised by Panerai, and this remains the most iconic crown in the business. You know what brand and what model line just by looking at that. Iconic, but also very functional. It gives you more protection against crown impact than a standard dual shoulder crown guard. It's also harder to jump into the water when it's not sealed. I mean, that's pretty hard to miss. Plus, it's easy to pry it up and push it down even when your hands are wet, sweaty, or gloved. That's not always the case with a tightly screwed crown. The watch is 100 meters water resistant, so very swimmable. We're going to do a loom shot right now so you can see how the sandwich dial and the associated hands are loomed. Taking a quick look here, actually quite comprehensively, including subdials. Luminor, of course, once upon a time was a lightly radioactive paint. Today it represents this model line of watches that look more or less like this. Now the dial has a gradient, gray at center, black at the edge. It also has a rough texture, almost like sandpaper. We have sight-style sub-registers that are designed to look like a view a Navy SEAL might get through some sort of a scope, either with binoculars or a weapon, perhaps. We have blackened hands, the sandwich dial being a stencil on top of a fully luminescent disc, a heritage element on Panerai dating back to the 30s. That's why the loom shot seems to have such depth, because you're looking at the glow of a disc underneath the stencil. Outboard, we have a tachymeter, which can be used along with the chronograph to gauge the speed of an object. So the common example is always a race car over a kilometer. So if a race car starts a kilometer and then it reaches the end of the kilometer, you stop the chronograph, which is upside down like that, and now you can see it is just under 300 kilometers per hour. So this is an inverse chrono. It's a lot easier to use because you get to use your thumb for the actuators. We have a few shocks of orange on this dial to give it a little bit of liveliness, and then we have one subsidiary setting mode. As you can see, when you pull the crown, you activate hacking seconds or stop seconds. Hard to see because the chronograph and crown are on opposite sides, but they're not completely in the same plane because this is a modular chronograph. Panerai caliber P9200 is an ETA 2892A2 automatic base with a Dubois de Praz vertical clutch chronograph module, bidirectional winding, 4 Hz beat rate, 41 joules with the modular movement, the two pieces combined, a 42-hour power reserve to stop seconds, and then, of course, with a vertical clutch, you actually have a pretty smooth chronograph engagement. And you get the stop seconds function of the underlying 4 Hz 2892. On the back, the case back's actually made of titanium and it's DLC black, and you have the warfare device of U.S. Navy SEALs. So once they get through their boot camp, when they get through BUDS, they are able to wear the warfare device. Completing their training, they become elite forces. Now, there are other elite forces in the Navy. For example, there are the SWCS, but the SEALs are the best known. Their warfare device concludes, well, basically with a eagle, a trident, a gun, and an anchor being pinned on your chest, which must be an incredibly proud moment. Basically, they thought, what are all the most awesome things we can find? Put them on the badge. An eagle, an anchor, a trident, and a gun. EOD comes close. EOD has a pretty cool logo with a bomb, a diving helmet, and a lightning bolt, but I think this is still where it's at. And again, 100 meters water resistant. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.